Hey, this is Alessio coming at you before the episode yet again, shamelessly promoting an Indiegogo campaign for a new short film that I'm working on called Hate. It is a work-life balance, anxiety, depression, stigma of mental health in the workplace fueled surreal nightmare. Think Office Space by way of 1 hour photo, or like a postmodern millennial falling down, if you guys remember that film with Michael Douglas. Anyway, you can check it out, hateshortfilm.com. We are going, I believe, from November the 8th to December the 8th. Being able to even have very small contributions that kind of continue throughout the length of the campaign would really, really help us out from an exposure standpoint. And we would love it if you guys would take a second to check out the trailer and share. But yeah, that's my pre-roll bumper. Please enjoy the skit and the episode. Thanks.
Having lost the majority of the Del Monte clan to various cave-dwelling trolley snacks, Haribo gummy bears, and dried apricots from Trader Joe's, Leon Del Monte carried the remaining members of his clan to the steps of Castle Citrusius.
Many have fallen, but here we stand, with our trusty friend Ipag, to smite the beast once and for all. Come now, kinsman.
Ipag, lend me my canning apparatus. We'll only get one shot at this. Quickly! Ipag! Quickly!
'Twas the fruits of your labor that cost you your life, my lord.
No!
Ipag, how could you? My name is literally grape, spelled backwards. How did you not realize? You fool!
There, laid bare on the steps at the Castle Citrusius, laid the remainder of the Del Monte clan, gutted like fish by their very mortal enemy. Fresh fruit! How will our heroes come back from this? Keep your podcasters dialed into Metal Gear Mondays to find out more.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 84 of Metal Gear Mondays, the Games Club podcast covering all things Metal Gear and Metal Gear adjacent, from top to bottom, left to right, inside and out, in pseudo-chronological order. As always, I am your host, Alessio Summerfield, and this is me recording an intro all by myself because we split a gargantuan 4-hour Part 1 Castlevania episode into 2 episodes spur of the moment. So without further ado, we don't have a ton of news to report on this episode whatsoever, so I am going to cut back into the second part of Part 1, otherwise known as Part 2 of Castlevania Lords of Shadow. Enjoy the episode, you guys. So we enter the Enchanted Forest. So we're going to fight some Lycans, the werewolf people.
But first, we're going to fight some giant spiders, aka where Sam actually almost stopped playing the game because fuck this.
Tell us about it.
Not because of the game's mechanics or because of anything, because one of my legitimate phobias, one of my biggest fears, are giant spiders in video games. Like, I can't do it. I play, as an example, I play Skyrim exclusively in first person, unless I'm in a cave where I know I'm going to fight a spider. And then I do third person and zoom out as far as possible. I cannot stand it. And this game somehow potentially cured me.
Very nice.
Because
Thank you,
I just got
Castlevania.
I got so desensitized and like annoyed with the spiders that I was just like, oh, okay, this is like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah,
Bye.
they walk very nasty, and I know this because you rodeo clown so many monsters in this game. Gabriel fucking rides everything. Like, the subtitle for this game's got to be "Gotta Ride 'Em All."
There's a mounts section in the book.
Yeah, it's wild. But yeah, so essentially we go through this little area. They introduce light magic to us, which is kind of like Ikaruga a little bit. So like you'll take damage. The developers didn't feel the need to incorporate any sort of health items into the game, and so instead they put that on you, which is as you damage creatures, you build up you get these orbs that you can choose to either give to light magic or give to dark magic, which will be introduced later in the game.
Or you can give it to both at the same time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you just
Yeah,
hold
if you
the...
push in both sticks at the same time, it'll suck them in.
Are you
and
serious?
Put them in both
Yeah.
slots. Yeah.
Does it like diminish how much you suck in?
That's the thing. I don't
Like, does it
think
equally
so.
split it, or is it?
I don't know. I couldn't tell.
Gotcha. So I didn't know that. I thought it was cool that you had to strategically choose, but I guess that's out of the fucking window now. But anyway, you either click in the left thumbstick for light magic or the right thumbstick for shadow magic. And if you attack something while you have the light magic triggered with the right bumper or R1 or L1 or left bumper, the light magic will heal you while you're doing damage, and then the shadow magic just makes you stronger. Those are effectively the only two weapon modifications in the entire game that are combat focused, really. But yeah, also I found another secret door underneath a waterfall here, and again, the game hit me with a huge prompt, come back later. This game really wants me to come back later. Unfortunately, since it is completely in the face of the story and I have to repeat literal shit I've already done, I did not feel compelled to do that. So, and that's different than backtracking, because when you backtrack, typically you are sort of coming back into a place without having to watch a bunch of cutscenes again. That is not the case here, which is stupid. This level's got some very, very Egyptian architecture for some reason, which makes it pretty hard to tell like where on Earth we're supposed to be. I know with the vampire stuff, it feels very European, which is cool. But with the other chapters, it's just sort of like you're in vague video game world. And I'm like, okay. There's sort of a fork in the road, which I did backtrack this left side, and it was literally the same thing on both sides. And then they explained to us what combat focus is on a scroll on a corpse. And so combat focus is kind of like if you do enough damage without getting hit, you can multiply the number of orbs that enemies drop when you punch them.
Which, again, becomes problematic when it's hard to time the fucking enemies.
Yeah, and especially when
That's
you
why you
encounter...
just dodge all day.
Yeah. When you encounter...
Not even that's a guarantee.
That's true.
Well, you encounter certain enemies at a certain point, too, that will not drop orbs unless you're in this focus mode, which sucks when you're fighting bosses and you're trapped at, like, low health, and the checkpoint is, like, you at low health. But we gotta find a way to open the door kind of puzzle, which just means we're doing the bomb goblin thing again.
No. This is with a warthog.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, so you use the what is it? Warg? You use a warg? Oh no, it's the warthog.
Warthog.
Yeah, and you
This is Pumbaa.
Yeah, so you take Pumbaa and his armor and you smash him through a door. And then we jump into a tree and the level just ends with us midair. Because of course it does.
Great.
Sam, take us through these underground caves.
So I think, hold on a second, because I think you get the upgrade to your.
That's in
your
the underground.
cross again.
That's in the underground caves.
Oh, that's what we're talking about right now.
Yep.
Spider Zone.
Get in the
All right.
zone. Spider zone. Well, Isaac fell asleep in the middle of saying that.
Spider Zone.
What's happening?
Anyway, so you do the whip and you kind of like launch yourself into a tree,
And you do the
then
nene.
you do the nene. Yeah, this is the beginning of chapter 2, by the way. So chapter 1 ends after the Ice Titan battle.
Oh, no. So
Chapter
2, part 1, we just covered. So the Enchanted Forest is the beginning of chapter 2. Underground Caves is part 2 of chapter 2.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Because my note here is like a paragraph long for the forest.
Oh,
That's
no.
why I was confused. But yeah, you get into the tree. There's a bunch of spider webs all over the place. And I'm just like, oh, fuck. You have to kill a bunch of spiders, and you have to look for these like weird keys to open this door. and you have to cross over. Like, there's a lot of like traversal, and they bring a very weird balancing mechanic in this one, where you have to walk across these like spider web bridges. So you have to kind of like stay in the middle of the bridge. If you get too close to the edge, and the game kind of determines what the quote edge is, very weirdly. You have to hold down R2, otherwise Gabe will like fall off the web and you'll die.
Mm-hmm. And this is another example of how he throws up when he is about to fall.
Yeah. And he's very sensitive. He will fall very quickly if you don't press R2. Holy crap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very frustrating on those Titan battles, especially because like it's very like, if you are not like just so with holding the button, he'll fall. Like if you're holding R2 and then you accidentally like let off of it just a little bit and then like quickly press it back, like he'll fall. Like he will fall if you like look at him funny.
Yeah. And he's got the best climbing sounds. He's got his little like and you're just like, wow, all right, cool.
That's it. That's the one.
The sound.
Spot on.
But yeah, as you traverse through here, you come across another mausoleum where you put your cross in, and you get an upgrade, and you get a spiky forbidden chain.
Ooh, and you use it to
which is my kink.
Yeah, you mow down these totems with it.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit, this animation sucks. Like, I'm sorry, that was not constructive at all. But so you encounter these little totems, and like in my mind, I don't know why I was like, gotta go fast. Like this whole game, I was just like, let's go. But like you encounter these totems, and you don't really ever encounter them again after a certain point. And
yeah, they're like, I think like you use this ability like 3 times.
Yeah,
and then there are things in this game where it's just like, oh, I have to use a spider that I mount to pull down this tree. Why couldn't I just use that spike chain?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, they completely forget that you have half the things that you have, like half the time. Which would have been cool if we were allowed to experiment, but it's very linear. Like, it's like you have to do the thing we want you to do. And it's like, all right. But yeah, so the way the spike thing works is like you whip the totem, which is like in sort of a column with your spike chain, and then you have to pull back and push forward and pull back and push forward, except 5 times slower than what I just said, with the left thumbstick until you saw the totem down. And it takes like double the amount of time that you want it to take.
Yeah, it's very weird. It's just like, what are you doing? Like, are you like what?
Yeah, the first time it happened, I had no idea what was going on. I was like,
are you just like slowly jerking this totem off? What are you doing? It's like a gentle jerk. Come on.
He's getting that wrist action.
You gotta get the tweak in there.
Yeah, and after that, we just run into an area that Sam told us about earlier, the labyrinth entrance.
Yay!
Can you tell us about Gandolfi?
But it's not Pan's Labyrinth. Yeah, Gandolfi.
Oh,
Gandolfi is the
no relation to
motherfucker-
Gandalf, by the way.
Yeah, Gandolfi is the motherfuckers who made all of these like power-ups for the combat cross,
And then just decided to bury them in these like random graves scattered around the world.
Yeah, this is like it was really. They mentioned that the chain, like the spikes, are just like, well, he put spikes on the chain and he buried it away because like the Brotherhood was just like, this isn't under the spirit of this holy weapon that we're using to fucking kill shit. So
Well, like anybody can make a spiked chain. Like why?
Yeah.
Why was his so special that he had to like bury it somewhere?
And then fucking Zether in one of the narrations is just like, it's just like, oh, my old friend Gandolfi, I'm so glad Gabriel has found you.
It's like somebody. It's like Punch Up for animated kids movies that like Patton Oswalt talks about in one of his stand-ups. It's like somebody decided to write a character that they never have to animate or show you, so that they could randomly talk about it in these narrations, and they like added it after the fact.
Ah, Gandolfi, if you were only here to see this. Oh, Gandolfi,
This meaty
I'm
neck
so
boy.
lost.
I need your guidance. It's kind of like, here's the thing. It would be kind of like if in like Star Wars Episode 2, they mention Qui-Gon all the time, but then you never got Episode 1
Yeah.
where you know who Qui-Gon
Yeah, it's
is.
like, oh man, the great Qui-Gon Jinn, and you're like, okay.
But who?
But who though? Yeah, this whole area, I feel like we can probably just skip over it because it's literally just you're riding a warthog into a door. You're in this Mayan area. You fight a werewolf, and then you turn a bull crank, and that's it. Oh, and you fall into a hole. I forgot about that. So you're turning this bull crank, which becomes like a huge component of exploration in this game, which is sticking what they call, quote, a crowbar into the head of a bull and then turning it. And you just trigger this dumb environmental thing because you're in these ancient ruins, and the ruins just like start to cave in around Gabriel, and he literally stands there and watches it happen until he falls into the hole. He's probably got, I think I timed it. Let me check my notes. Yeah, he literally had 4.8 seconds of him just staring at things falling down before he moved, and he still fell in the hole. It was very stupid. But anyway, then we're in these waterfalls of Agartha. Yeah, it's this is where we mount the spider for the first time. It's an ancient city under the ground. We ride a spider around because we're weird like that, I guess.
Fucking hate it. But my note here, I said once you land, you wrap around a corner and see that you have to pull down a tree, and of course there's another fucking spider. Except this time you have to ride the spider to take down the tree, and I don't want to ride the fucking spider.
Well, what's funny to me is after you ride the spider, so we do fight these like big werewolf men or whatever, and I guess they were sort of introduced towards the end of the last chapter. These guys suck. They take way too many hits.
Here's the thing. They're not that bad, like, when it's just one of them and maybe, like, some smaller werewolves. It's when they introduce them in groups of, like, multiples, and it's the fucking worst.
What about when there's 3, Sam?
When there's 3 of them, I almost quit playing the game.
Yeah, it's rough. And they all take turns just, like, beating the shit out of you.
Mm-hmm. They're very weak. If you hold down circle while you have the daggers, they're kind of weak to that.
Oh, like the wave attack or whatever?
Yeah. Well, I realize it's because the daggers are silver daggers.
Well, and they give you these descriptions in the character menu for each creature, but it's like, this isn't The Witcher. Like, I don't know why I need to know every single minute detail of their likes and dislikes just to like get through an enemy that you're throwing at me 1,000 times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
Anywho's we ride another
big old werewolf.
Yeah, we ride another enemy. Right after we ride the spider, we ride a cave troll. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be real with you guys. This cave troll section, I died way too many times because they rush you with those big nosed little baby trolls the whole time. Do you guys know what part I'm talking about? You're like fighting on this like little island.
Yeah.
Holy mother of God.
The big noses.
Dude, it was rough. So hold on. We ride, let me get this right, in one level. We mount a spider, we build a web bridge, we ride a cave troll to punch down a rock, and then we ride another giant spider to destroy a bridge. Or to get over a bridge.
Yeah, because like this asshole spider in this cutscene breaks the bridge in the first place.
Yeah, he just walks over it real casually like a dickhead.
Yeah, and then you have to mount the spider to fix the bridge. It's very...
Yeah, and then we come to this big church that's underground for some reason, and we get the shadow magic. And then we climb our way out, and we're good to go.
And this is the cutscene where Gabe rolled a 1 in the beginning of this next level, where he's climbing up, and he struggles to climb up a cliff, and there's another like large troll that sees him and is like coming after them. But then this like woman backflips on the scene and like starts to scare a troll with this crystal, and she crushes the crystal and summons. I call it the titty demon. It's literally just like it summons it, and it's literally like Anima from Final Fantasy X.
Yeah,
she summons this like cutscene, and it breaks its chains, and then it like leans backwards and roars, and you see like this top down view, and it's got like these weird like gross like exposed breasts.
Oh, it also has this like, weird like C-section stomach that's like all cut open and shit too, which is real weird.
Yeah, and these like weirdly defined nipples. Like it's very strange.
You have to watch it the whole time, by the way, every time that you summon it, unless you press start and skip the cutscene mid summon, which is very frustrating.
Yeah, it's a very weird way to do it. I put a note in here. I said, reminder to ask Isaac how he feels about the aforementioned titty demon.
Oh my gosh.
What you thinking about, Isaac?
What do you think about the titty demon?
Oh, what's weird is nobody gets this joke except for patron people until like after the movie episodes.
Oh shit!
It's all good, guys. It's all
Isaac,
good.
what'd you think though?
I've seen better.
Solid response. Miller says.
So just in case,
nice.
so just to kind of
Nice.
like briefly explain what's going on here.
No,
but
Sam,
not
let's
at
leave
all.
them in the dark.
Yeah, leave them in the dark with Isaac.
Yeah, so I think my exact note about this demon woman was I have no words for the mute peasant girl who summoned a new demon bird, bat, Seymour Aeon to roast a cave troll and then ninja cartwheel her way up a building.
She like the demon murders the troll, and then she just like backflips away and like
then looks at
climbs up,
Gabriel
like-
and shoots him like a quick shh with her hand.
Yeah.
And it's like, excuse me.
So Gabe follows her,
Obviously.
obviously.
Well, you
but
can't go the same way that she went because the game hits you with a huge note on the screen that says, "This is impossible to climb." And I wish I was
saw her
kidding.
just do it. She backflipped up it.
Yeah. Also, real quick, metal alert. During the load thing, Patrick Stewart describes something called the Necromantic Wars. Holy fuck. That's the most
Yeah, that's
metal
the name
thing
of
I've
my new
ever heard.
Black metal death band.
The Necromantic Wars. Like, holy shit. But yeah, so in our quest to rodeo every single enemy in the game, we do this warg jumping puzzle. And then the rodeo Olympics continue with the troll and another warg and I believe a spider in this level.
Yeah. So here's the thing about the war. All of these monsters have different abilities that you, when you mount them. The warg's ability is that it can climb up walls and that it can jump over gaps. And this is where it introduces the concept of sprinting, which you get a power up a little bit later in the game that you will be able to sprint faster. Problem is, sprinting, you double tap the left stick to sprint, and it is inelegant and poorly executed.
Yeah, and that happens again with these like magic boots that you get later on as well.
Like I'm trying, like I when I'm explaining this stuff, I'm doing my best to be honest without just like outright saying it sucks, because like I don't necessarily think that it most of the stuff sucks. It's just kind of executed poorly. What they decided to do with how you sprint in this game sucks. I'm just not even going to sugarcoat that one.
Yeah.
It's not great, and it's like super clunky and hard to like get going, and it caused me to die several times later on in the game.
Yeah. It's when it's particularly difficult too because later on whenever you get the boots to jump slightly larger gaps, and maybe it's on me for just not sprinting before every single gap that I jump, but it never really tells you or does a good job of showing you when a gap is slightly too far for a normal jump. So there are so many gaps that I encountered where I could make it without sprint jumping, and then they would put one that was literally like a foot too wide.
Yeah. That's the other thing that I will say about this game too. It both over tutorializes and doesn't tutorialize enough sometimes. Because it over tutorializes the stuff that's very obvious and you should know it by this point. It doesn't really tell you, unless you go digging for it, it doesn't really tell you a lot about like how to use more advanced stuff like that and other things. It's very weird.
Yeah. But yeah, also real quick, I just want to, because I have to point this out ever since the Terminator episode. You know, our garbage man's, what the hell? So Gabe has a what the hell moment where he says wait to this girl. And when he says wait to this girl earlier, it's reverbed as fuck and sounds like he's in a church. However, he's not. He's standing outside. At the end of this level, when you meet the girl at the top of this tower, he says wait again, and I swear to God it is the exact same sound effect from earlier.
Oh yeah, I noticed that too. They just cut the clip from the little cave he's in.
Yeah.
And put it earlier.
Yeah, it's very weird. They didn't even think to like remove any of the effects on his voice or anything. So we chase this peasant girl, and that's it. Sam, are you opening a condom?
Damn it! I thought it was.
I could hear it very.
I was trying to open my candy that I'm actually sponsored by, which is a delicious chocolate mint. And also my other sponsor is almost gone.
Oh no. We gotta get going. Let's get going.
Wow.
Part 6, Dark Dungeon.
I've got more wine. Goddamn.
We're in chapter 2. Still, part 6. The girl. I swear to God, this girl like exclusively just transports herself around the game world with backwards cartwheels. Because that's literally all she does.
reason.
That's how she moves, man.
And she chooses not to speak with her mouth ever, which is frustrating when she finally speaks.
Yeah.
She's just like a telepath. But we do this like kind of puzzle level where they introduce these like demon babies, essentially. And we enlist what appears to be an ancient member of the Enclave, and then Claudia. So it's not a Fallout tie-in. It's just she's with this weird mechanical Black Knight golem that she has to feed souls in order to keep protecting her. And for some reason, Gabriel says, "That's cool. Bring your Trill demon golem with us. It'll be great."
I'm gonna be honest with you. I said, "This is cool. Bring your demon golem with us, please."
Yeah, that's true.
This guy, this suit of armor, does a sum total of one helpful thing the entire time he's with you.
Yes.
Which, admittedly, is not very long.
Well, he does another helpful thing for me, which is try to beat Gabriel's ass.
Yeah. And the one helpful thing he does, there's a boss battle towards the end of Chapter 2.
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2, where it's another... We fight another Titan later on close to the end of the chapter. And when you like stun it, he like goes in and like hits its leg so it falls down, and then he never does it again. That's the only thing this motherfucker does the entire time.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Anyway,
so we're in part 7, Sanctuary entrance. There's this big ultra creepy door, which looks pretty slick. However, unfortunately, the level design and this bad camera make it really fucking hard to figure out where you're supposed to be going. Unfortunately, there's a certain point in this area where Rose just kind of or Claudia just becomes Rose from Metal Gear Solid 2, because you're trying to hunt down these pieces of these crystal shards, and so like the level's really cool, but like
it's actually kind of important to mention. There was this like civilization that used these crystals to protect themselves, but then like the werewolves and like all the bad stuff like came and tried to kill them.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same civilization that built the Ice Titan, right?
Yeah, they built the Titans to fight back against these creatures, and they all wound up dying, except for her, because her father hid her and then gave her the Black Knight to protect her. So now we have to for some reason get into the city and kill the last Titan in existence. But to get in, we have to find these crystal shards, and then you do this next part.
Why do we have to kill the Titan?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
They just said, I can't remember why. They just explained as like we have to kill the last Titan.
Okay.
It's pretty much like just to proceed past the door. I guess you have to.
Oh, like we're going that way, and it's gonna be like
the Titan is like guarding this area or something.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
So this is where Sam's 3 werewolf menage wolf comes from. It's rough, you guys. And I think we talked about it enough earlier. So
during this section, if I had to hear Claudia say that we still have 2 shards left to go one more fucking time, I was gonna rip my fucking eardrums off.
Yeah. And then
I was gonna realize there was a spiral in my ears and stab him out.
Oh,
you're gonna literally turn yourself into an ass. And then there's a mirror laser puzzle, which of course there is, taken straight out of Game Design Book 101. One of those classic bounce the light around with the mirrors and get it to go into the hole to open the door kind of puzzles. You guys forgot about those from the 90s, didn't you? But according to the game's puzzle solution, apparently this was the first actual puzzle in the game, kind of, because I don't remember. Maybe I think after besides the guillotine one, I think it's the only one that like awards you with experience for completing.
No, the guillotine one does.
Okay.
They use like 200.
So the weird thing too is, and Sam and I actually talked about this. You can opt to not get the payment and just not have to do the puzzle. It's like the dumbest thing I've ever... Like, why put the puzzle in the game if you're literally going to give me the skip button instantly from the beginning?
Right. right?
Yeah. You collect these scrolls that kind of give you clues about how to explain it, and the scrolls will tell you how to, like, give you clues about how to solve the puzzle, but it'll also let you skip it.
Yeah.
Which is all right.
Yeah, so you just forfeit so at a certain point when you've got enough of the special moves bot, you can just say, cool, I don't need any more. See ya. And the game's like, okay. So then we enter part 8, Sanctuary of Titans. It's this giant stone idol Titan fight. It's
the scene that it, like, when you walk in and it, like, rebuilds itself is very cool.
Yeah, so the visuals are super neat, and I definitely feel like in 2010 this was probably like breathtaking. But you're in this giant snow. I feel like any of the snow environments are just going to look great. But you're in this giant snow environment. This giant thing builds itself together, and essentially it's very akin to like the Colossus at the end of Shadow of the Colossus, like the multi-story one with like the crazy storm clouds around it, except it's like meteors in the sky. It's a little unintuitive though, because you have to stay very, very far away from it, which is the opposite of what my brain thought, which was I'm going to climb that thing.
Well, so like when you get close to it, Claudia's just like, no, stay back. And then like, no, pick your moment. And so it's just like, okay, so I'm going to run away from this thing now then.
Right.
And eventually, if you're really lucky, it'll throw a rock at you that you can grapple and chuck back at it to make it fall down.
Yeah, at a certain distance, it just like constantly throws them at you. So I think you just have to be far enough away.
Guess what Claudia says? She says, hey, watch for the rock.
Yeah.
Catch the rock.
She says that right as the screen also shows you the rock and has text that says, catch the rock.
And then the way that they do this is you grapple the rock and then you have to immediately, there is no margin for error.
Oh, no, yeah,
here.
it's instant.
Immediately start spinning the left stick in order to throw it back fast enough so that you actually don't drop it.
And it'll
There's
prompt you
no
with
margin
it'll
for
prompt you with a big ass view of a left thumbstick rotating though, like the moment you touch it.
Yeah, but then like it's like you grapple it and then it's like, okay, now you're spinning the stick and it's just like, well, fuck, oh, I guess so, okay.
Bye. Yeah, I flubbed the first one because of that reason. I think I know why this has been really irritating me this week to play. I purchased and played a little bit of Red Dead Redemption 2 before embarking in this game. I've been playing that game with the HUD turned off exclusively. And just kind of trying to get by based on how I would intuit I should go. And just like waking up in the morning and being like, I'm going to run some errands, and just kind of encountering things as I go and kind of treating it like with the HUD turned off. I've just been kind of treating it as like a life simulator. Like I've not been checklisting, or I don't know, like every once in a while I'll in character, like camp, pull out a map, put like a waypoint on it and be like, that's where I'm going tomorrow. And then just like begin my trek. And it feels like very slow and like intentionally paced. There's nothing on the screen ever except for like every once in a while my little meter that says like, hey, the horse is getting hungry will be in the bottom. Very minimal. This game is the opposite of that. This game is fucking like indicators, text, sound, everything is telling you what to do all the time. Check out this thing, and it's like, holy shit, dude. I know. I get it.
Yeah, let me pan the camera and focus on this thing for 30 years and then let you do it.
Yeah, we're going to show you a cutscene. A character's going to tell you. We're going to indicate with a light. You're also going to have to press start to make the screen stop telling you what to do. And then the music's also going to tell you. Like, everything tells you what to do, and it's very frustrating.
And then if you take too long, we're going to do it again.
Oh, yeah, all of it, including the cutscenes. So it's, ugh. Anyway. But yeah, this fight's pretty cool. You just kind of grapple around the Stone Titan a couple times. You bash the little weak points. There were a couple moments that I fell, unfortunately, so I had to throw the rocks back at it and do the whole cutscene all over again several times. Claudia says some very out-of-character shit here, you guys.
Down here, you bitch!
Yeah,
She'll say that sometimes.
Yeah, it felt very out of character. It felt like they were just trying to be like, LOL, remember that scene in Aliens? And it's like, okay. But yeah, so eventually we take the thing down. I can't remember. I don't think this one has like the Shadow of the Colossus like coils that come out of it and like absorb into Gabriel's body. I think it just kind of crumbles. And they decide to camp out. And Gabriel has a real spooky dream. And in his dream, he stabs Claudia after she says that she's seen the future and she understands this is her fate. Gabriel wakes up and he actually fucking did it. And he's like, oh no.
Yeah. Pan shows up and like out of nowhere.
Just says some creepy
like,
shit. Like he's like,
yeah,
he's
you
like,
need,
don't
you need
embrace
to take,
the dark. And you're like, what?
Yeah. And then he's like, you need to kill the knight to get his gauntlet. And he's like, no, I won't do that to them. And then Pan's like, it's too late. Turn around, Claudia's dead. And then the knight's like, yo, dude, what the fuck, bro? And then you have to fight the knight.
Which I think is a really good fight.
He doesn't know. I think it says this. He doesn't know if he killed Claudia or not.
Well, he knows after the fight for sure. Mm-hmm. Well, then again, though, I guess you're right. Somebody could have taken his knife out of his satchel and stabbed Claudia.
While they were sleeping. Maybe that's the twist.
Who would it be? Was it Zelda, you think?
I don't know.
Exactly.
Was it Zorro? Whatever the fuck his name is? Zulbach. Zoltan.
Only Zul.
But so we do this Black Knight fight. I think it's one of the better boss fights in the game.
Yeah, I like this.
Well, so that's the thing. After you get away from the Colossus style battles, the bosses in this game are actually pretty neat, and I think pretty well executed. Like the battle with Cornell in the next chapter,
Chris,
I think is very good. Yeah, Chris Cornell, R.I.P.
as himself in this game.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this Battle of the Black Knights, yeah, like everybody's saying, it's pretty fun. I only had one problem with it, which is when the goo shows up. It gets real unrelenting. It's just like, roll, baby, roll, like for the rest of the fight. And I'm like, I need time to fight you.
Yeah, I need to deal damage. And he's always replenishing him, and there's always two on the floor.
He's always
at
gooing.
All times.
And when one of them will dissipate, it'll scream. And it's very spooky.
Mm-hmm. Here comes the goo.
But yeah, and then the Black Knight is just a super mutant from Fallout underneath when you take all the armor off, and you kill it, and then you get his gauntlet, which makes you punch things.
Which drags Gabe by his arm into the air, and electrocutes him with red light, and it's just
that's how you know it's evil.
Is very clearly, this thing's clearly evil. Every armor thing that he gets is just like, oh yeah, that's evil.
Yeah, that
shit's gonna happen
looks
to you.
evil. It looks like some fucking Sauron, Eye of Satan, White Tower bullshit. What are you doing? Appropriately named, we have Chapter 3, Part 1, The Three Towers. Take that, you motherfuckers, over at the Tolkien camp. We got one extra tower.
Take that, JRR.
We got 3.
Do you think they did that because they didn't want it to be 2 towers or twin towers? And so they were just
definitely.
Maybe.
Do we even see the titular three towers? I don't think we do.
No,
there's only a single tower.
I think so. I think it's only one tower.
Yeah,
no, technically it's 3, but they're just small towers.
And they're in the background
within a
half
complex.
The time. It's
But
yeah, so
know.
Gabriel decides he can never sleep again because every time he sleeps, somebody dies. And then
you sleep, you die.
Yeah, well, and that's the weird thing. So Sam, was the comment about her father hiding her away for centuries said in a cutscene? Because I did not remember that. So whenever they mentioned it,
it was right before they go to that mission where you have to search for the crystals.
Gotcha. Okay, because when Zulfarak says she was a centuries old girl, I was like, excuse me. But yeah, so with the Dark Gauntlet, the game is going to make you use it 1,000,000 times now. So you punch statues, which then causes the worst crumbling animation that I've ever seen in a video game. The wall just kind of I don't even know how to describe it. It looks like somebody is paying the wall to knock itself over, and it's begrudgingly it's a living that. I don't know how to describe it. It's just slouching, the wall's just sort of oops, I guess I'm supposed to fall now, and totally misses its cue. But then we get one of the prettiest levels I think in the whole game so far. And this is the one with all of the nude fairies. We get a lot of fairies. We get a fairy container.
You fight a bunch of werewolves, and then these weird green things fly in. You're not really sure what they are.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's very weird.
because they stun the wolves. So after you kill all the wolves, you find out that they're fairies, and they give you a fairy container.
Ooh.
And open the door into the tower. And then you do a lot of like
You literally do the let's find the 4 pieces of the gemstone again, except it's let's find the 4 fairies to open the door.
Yeah, there's a lot of like moving around and running around, and it's just all the same, and I didn't put any notes because my brain didn't have room for it.
Yeah, and there's kind of a puzzle, but it's literally just touch the stones with the right magic equip, and like there's only 2 magics, so it's like okay,
Yeah.
this isn't.
They also do that a lot.
Which is a puzzle that they do a couple of times with more of those icons a couple times in the game, but it's not any more difficult.
Yeah. Quick question: do you guys think the fairies are killing themselves when they open the doors for you? Because they definitely fly into the wall and then splatter.
Oh no! If you read about the fairies and the abilities in the book, they are very explicit. They die when they do stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
Really?
Yeah, they're very explicit about that in the book.
in the novelization of the game, or in the book that's
No,
the
the
main menu?
fucking menu, Alessia. Yeah, I like this game so much. I went out about the novelization.
Sam actually wrote the novel.
Like when you start collecting, the fairies become a pickup. And here's another gripe that I have. They very much don't care that they appear to be wasting your time in this video game.
Yeah.
Because on the D-pad you have these consumables that you can use, like the daggers and stuff like that. The daggers are the only ones that like doesn't make it feel like you're wasting your time. With the crystals and the fairies and then the holy water in a little bit, they make it the trek to get them so like arduous and tedious, and they make them seem so rare, and then as soon as you get them, they become just like common pickup in boxes, and it's insulting.
Yeah, it's literally like everything in this game, including some of the other relics that we're going to pick up, where you go through an entire chapter to pick up one item, which then becomes literally everywhere.
Yeah, like the crystal is just like, oh, we have to find these 4 shards to make this crystal, and it's very powerful and rare, and then it's just like, oh, well, now I just find whole crystals in crates.
Crash Bandicoot style.
Yeah. And literally a purple crystal is very much
it looks
Crash
extremely
Bandicoot
Crash Bandicoot. And finding it in literally the boxes from Crash Bandicoot. But then we enter part 2 of chapter 3, which is the Dark Lord of the Lycans. And so this is a big bad, capital B, big boss battle, where it's one of the Lords of Shadow. So the Dark Lord of the Lycans, upon first seeing him, is literally just a dude with a hammer and pointy teeth, which I thought was kind of interesting. Would you, Sam, like to tell us about these Brotherhood backstories that we kind of discover? Which is actually kind of neat on paper.
Yeah, this is what I thought was pretty cool about it. This guy he doesn't say his name, but he's the Lord of the Werewolves essentially. Hold on a second. My brain just like fell off my head.
Is it possible that it was all of the wine, Sam?
Yeah, I don't know. It's gone now, so possibly. He explains that your Brotherhood of the Light was started by these 3 guys who.
Man, you don't know shit about my Brotherhood. Watch your mouth.
They went. They founded the Order, and they went in search of like ways to protect the world, essentially. And in this process, they did. I'm fuzzy on the details, but they essentially ascended to near godhood.
Yeah, I can't remember what they did. They did some sort of way to like link heaven and earth by way of like these miracles and these like scripture studies that they had done, and so they literally ended this like long stride of evil corrupting the planet.
So, but what happened is when they did this, they thought that like they were just leaving their bodies behind, like corpses essentially. But what happened was when they ascended, all of their good, everything that was good about them ascended, and they left behind their darkness, and their darkness became the Lords of Shadow. So there was 3 of them: the Vampire Lord, the Werewolf Lord, and the Necromantic Lord, the Necromancers, and they were created from the people who started the Brotherhood of Light, ascending to godhood. So where there is light, there is also dark. And it was pretty cool. It's a pretty cool like thing. Cornell has this monologue. He's like, if you kill, isn't it ironic that if you
his name is
kill-
Cornell, by the way. I just need to point out that the
Yeah.
Dark Lord of the Lycans, his name is just fucking Cornell.
Yeah, I put this werewolf at the bottom of after the battle. I said, this werewolf's name is Cornell. What a dork. He says something like, and it's very cool. He says something like, isn't it ironic that if you kill me, your beloved founder will die too? And he says, he might be willing to sacrifice himself for what you're doing, but I'm not ready to die yet. And then the battle starts, and I was like, that's actually really dope.
You know what you just described, Sam?
Yes.
The Heartless.
Oh my god.
It is 100% the Heartless and the Nobodies.
That is. Yeah.
Woo!
Yep,
Thanks,
yep.
Lords
All
of
right.
Shadow.
God damn it. Thanks, King Dog Man.
Yeah, literally, goddamn this werewolf man to hell, though, because, we fight this boy, and he rude.
Him rude.
Yeah, so it's just, I don't know, it's very similar to the Black Knight fight. You're kind of doing it in these stages. I will say when you're fighting Cornell by himself, before he becomes Mega Wolfman, he's actually pretty easy. Not easy, I think. He's very not overwhelmingly difficult or anything like that. It feels like a very fair fight. It does feel like it goes on a little bit too long, especially considering that like the real boss fight doesn't really start until he transforms. But I will say I was a total dumbass and wasted a crystal on this portion of the fight. And then we get to play sort of get chased by the Mega Wolfman around this environment and try and do as much damage as we can. And then he kind of, for some reason, makes all of the stone heads in the arena destructible. And so then you have to destroy all of the stone heads to kill him. So you end up playing this weird statue ring around the Rosie with him.
It's very weird because the first one will fall like with one hit, but as you go around, they take more hits to destroy.
Yeah, which is frustrating.
Yeah. How did you feel about this battle, Isaac?
I was gonna say this part I didn't really understand why he would do that.
Yeah,
because it doesn't really. I mean, the statues, they don't really give him power, so it seemed like he was trying to, I don't know, do something, but then these statues don't do add any benefit to his on his side.
Yeah,
I don't know.
he just gets more aggressive. Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not like they power him
Yeah.
up or make him like fucking Ultra Mega Wolf Bionic Man.
Yeah. And here's the other thing too. This game struggles with this a couple of times that I noticed. It's nighttime when you show up to confront him. When he transforms into like his big Power Ranger, big werewolf mode, he like summons the moon and then I guess eats the moon, because when you fight his werewolf form, it's like daytime.
It's daytime.
Or like twilight.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah, it's very weird. Also, this is whenever I noticed that there are a ton, as you would imagine, there are a ton of QuickTime events built around these boss fights. This is when I noticed during the final moment when you're supposed to kill him, I missed the QuickTime event because I pushed it too soon by like a millisecond, and it just fucking kills you. And then it like resets you back to the last checkpoint, which thankfully in this instance, the checkpoint was right before the QuickTime event. But it was really frustrating. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this is an instant death just because you didn't want to animate like an additional attempt in the cutscene? Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But once you do the battle, this is one of the first times I put this game is metal as fuck in my notes. There's that QTE, but Gabe essentially takes the hammer and yanks the hammer around with the chain, or yanks the Werewolf King around with his chain, and then takes his hammer from the center of the pedestal where he inserted it into the thing to transform, breaks the hammer off over his head, and then stabs him through the brain with the broken handle of the hammer.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It is pretty crazy.
Yeah, I like this
also
animation.
the first time. Yeah, it was very cool. And this is also the first time where I was just like, why are we not collecting cool weapons, and why do I not have this hammer to use?
Oh yeah, 100%. I was like, I immediately assumed at the beginning of the boss fight that I was going to get that hammer, and then Gabe was like, no, and I was like, all right, okay. So who knows? At the end, we get these magic boots for some reason, and then Marie comes back, and I'm kind of feeling like she might be a bad guy in disguise at this point. She starts saying some just kind of like, she's like egging you on to do some fucking murder spree shit. She's like, oh yeah,
like,
and you're like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, like he gives him the boots, the dark essence from the boots, like punch him in the air, and then you're
As
just
they
like,
do.
oh, those boots are evil.
As they do.
Are evil as fuck, just like the gauntlet. And then Maria's ghost is like, you have to reclaim the powers before it's lost. And he's like, fucking what, bitch?
Yeah.
And then he says some Latin, and then you get a piece of this like
God
mask that you find out is called the God mask.
Yeah, which like what? Sam, do you want to tell us about your friend, the psychic eagle?
Oh my god! So you get these boots, and you teach you can sprint with them, and when you sprint, you can jump over longer gaps. And so to end the level, you have to do that, and then you climb up a cliff, and when you climb up to the top of the cliff, there's a cutscene, and the camera pans up, and I laughed out fucking loud when I saw this. There was just a fucking eagle,
like a blue eagle,
giant,
massive
eagle,
bald eagle,
just sitting there.
Is he glowing blue as well?
His beak was.
Yeah.
Yeah, his beak had some like glowing runes or something on it. And then Gabe, of course, is just like,
I want to ride that.
all right. Yeah.
got him out.
And the eagle's like it's time for you to finish your quest. And then they do another one of those travel montages where Gabe is sitting on the eagle's neck, and like the way he's sitting on this eagle is fucking hilarious.
I think I'm going to cue the travel montage music right here, actually, because it's amazing.
Yeah, please do.
So we go on a voyage.
Yeah, we go on a little voyage, and then the eagle drops him off, and the travel is like the transition between chapter 3 and chapter 4. So chapter 3 is only 2 levels.
Well, and then the eagle explicitly tells you at the beginning of chapter 4, he's like, just so you know, I didn't do any of this for you. I don't have any missions. I'm not doing this for nobody. Bye. And it's just like what?
Yeah, and it's just like, this is like the eagles from Lord of the Rings, except on steroids, because they're not rude. They just help when they can and when they want to. And this guy's just like, I'm not here for you. And it's like, I'm not helping. I was like, bitch, you just took me here. You sure as fuck seem like you're helping.
Well, it's really frustrating, too, because I feel like they just start introducing at rapid fire speed so many things with capital nouns. So it's like God mask, capital G, capital M, old gods, capital O, capital G. Like, it's like, what the fuck? And we're hearing about wars and characters that we never see. And it's just so overwhelming. I don't know. Isaac, did you feel like they were just introducing way too much shit way too quickly all the time when you were playing?
Yeah, I think, I mean, a little bit. Like, I didn't really understand this God mask at the time. I was like, oh.
Isaac was like, oh, that must be the Castlevania God mask that I hear so much about.
This must be what I've been missing all this time. I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll figure it out as we keep playing, what all these things, like the importance of all these things.
Capital pronouns.
But like, yeah, like the eagle thing, I guess.
Like, does he come back at all?
I didn't know.
I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't at all. I hope he's just like, hey, let's go for a ride because the developers are lazy. Bye.
It's just like, I don't understand it. But it
so
yeah.
No, go ahead, Isaac.
No, I was just gonna say it was just, yeah, like I had to laugh because one, the traveling montage. I love those things, and then he's just nuts. Like he's there and he's gone.
I wish for one of the travel montages it was just Gabe driving a super sick red Corvette. It's like down a very clearly like modern day interstate. It's like very like Kung Pao. Just like
So this is where I have two the eagle explains like we're in the land of the crows. This is the gateway to the land of the vampires.
100%. By the way, this
There's
shit is
a
just
witch-
straight up Ariamis's Painted World from Dark Souls, because like
Yeah,
it
for sure.
looks like it. Number one, number two, the crows are very Velka. Like this whole area is just like, hey, we all played Demon Souls and Dark Souls. Here you go.
And it's like there's a witch that guards the land of the vampires. And that's when the eagle's just like, I'm not helping you, because Gabe asks why he's helping, and the eagle's like, I'm not helping him. Just like, you sure seem like you're helping. So the eagle tells you all this, and
Is
you
it an
follow
eagle
this
of death
linear
metal,
path.
Sam?
Yes, it is. Of course it is. What other kind of eagle would it be? But as as you follow this linear path, it does like this like camera pan, like like one of those sweeping like, oh look, this is very pretty. Look at that castle. I'm gonna go there, type of things, off in the distance. As if you didn't hear it from the eagle 5 seconds ago, to really hammer home the fact that you're in the like approaching the land of the vampires. A swarm of bats flies at the screen. And as I've played through this level, it does this a couple of times. You see swarms of some type of black creature that you come to understand are crows. However, and I don't know if y'all noticed this.
Oh, I definitely did.
The sound effect they used for these crows are bat sound effects.
So I listened to it because you texted me that. I listened to it very closely on like the third or fourth time that they did it. I think what it is they like changed the sound of the crows to sound very squealy and high pitched. Because if you listen very carefully, it's clearly like a manipulated bird sound, but it is so screechy that it literally just sounds like bats.
Yeah.
It's like they intentionally like edited the audio to make it sound more bat-like, and it's like I don't
Very
understand.
weird. But they're crows. Just use crow
Yeah.
sounds. Like, what are you doing?
Well, so here's another weird thing too, and this game is very notoriously bad about this. Every zone we go to, it feels like, based on the travel montage, that we're traveling continents. However, when we get there, it's the same fucking enemies we've been encountering the whole time. Like each zone will like
That's true.
maybe introduce like one new enemy type,
Yeah.
but it's like we're still fighting trolls and spiders. What are you doing? So I don't know. Anyway, sorry. It's just I don't know. It's frustrating. So like, and here's the thing that Isaac maybe you didn't have going into this. Castlevania kind of has like a long-standing history of having really cool monster designs and a lot of them. And so it's just really frustrating that like not only do the monster designs kind of leave a lot to be desired, but like they just kind of reused a lot of them.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot. Yeah. That's interesting.
But anyway.
The beginning of chapter 4 is also where I realized that that Z-Man
Zima?
that's following.
Zima.
It's like,
Oh, Xenon
is
Girl
like,
of the 21st century.
yes. Yeah. This is where like I was like, shouldn't you be heading to the land of the vampires to deal with that? Because what am I doing? Why am I doing this?
Yeah. Why am I doing your job that you told me you were going to do?
Because I'm supposed to meet you at the land of the necromancers. What are you doing?
Exactly.
So
Very weird. And then we encounter the big man on campus. Did you guys get to this ogre? He real big.
Oh, great.
He real big.
yeah.
They did a good job about not showing his dick the whole time. He's very clearly supposed to be nude, and this is kind of a thing that I find problematic with just like Western games in general and like Western things in general. Why is it okay to show breasts on a nude female countless times, but we cannot even show like a dude's ass without people like snickering?
Yeah, I wanted to see this troll's swing.
Oh yeah, dude. Let me see that big old D, dude. Let me grapple that dick. But no, and so unfortunately when they first introduce him, you're fighting all these dumbass little trolls, and then when the giant ogre shows up, it's actually really neat how they do it. He shows up like behind the level. So like if it was a fighting game, it'd be like he's peeking through a hole in the level
window,
at you, which is cool. The problem is like he starts banging on shit, and then like the floor will just drop out from the like a part of the stage, and you'll just die like instantly.
I died so much on
Yeah,
right here.
because they don't telegraph at all. It just starts falling. Like there's no steam or anything to be like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and then you have to like zip over using the fucking hook shot to to get over to the other side. But that's another thing. It's like they don't telegraph that either. So it's just like, oh, all right.
Yeah. When you get into this, so you get into this little sort of like semicircle amphitheater kind of boss fight arena with him, where you're just kind of like doing the very tropey thing of punching his hands when he punches down. Very clearly, early on, they show him breaking all of the stone ramparts against the wall, except for one very peculiar arrowhead-shaped stone sticking out of the center of the stage, and instantly I was like, oh, we're going to impale that fucker's head on that, aren't we? And guess what, guys? We do. So...
The other thing about this battle that I didn't like, it's very not structured well. They give you a mana fountain, so essentially you have unlimited mana throughout this battle because you need it. Because
they didn't balance
it's
it
just
well.
Kind of, yeah, they didn't at all. Like the idea is that you dodge his fists when they come down and then attack the fist, but like his attacks seem to home in on you.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
So you're spending way more time than you should be, like using your blue mana to heal yourself, and then it's just like after a certain point, it's just like I'll just take this and then not worry about it. It's not balanced well at all.
Yeah, I got squished a lot. I'll just say that.
And it's kind of neat. I mean, they took the time to like animate the handprints on the ground when Gabe gets smashed, so that's kind of cool. We get to introduce to my all-time favorite character of this entire game, and maybe most games, the Chupacabras.
Oh, jeez.
Wonder!
Isaac, could you describe the Chupacabras?
So I got a real cheap Golem vibe coming from him.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
I was like, oh, here's some more Lord of the Rings crap that they're trying to pull.
Sam, what are your thoughts on this man?
Man.
Isaac, sorry, I didn't mean to steamroll it for you.
No, you're good. I mean, that was my take on him. He was just like this little tiny goblin thing that would steal all of your stuff randomly.
He does it all the time.
For whatever reason.
This is my favorite part of the game, is when they break all of the pacing of the story in order to make me chase this fucking weird creature halfway through the level.
No reason.
In my notes I wrote down, he reminds me of the midget psychos from Borderlands, which I'm sorry, that's just the name of that creature. I didn't want to use the word midget. It's like the midget psychos from Borderlands mixed with an Ewok from Star Wars. It sucks.
Mm-hmm. And like he kind of talks like Yoda a little bit too.
He kind of talks like Jar Jar Binks a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like if you took Yoda's like timing and Jar Jar Binks' inflection, it's very bad. And this time, like it's after you find him after you fight some things. But the first time you meet him, you don't have to fight anything in order to get him back. You just have to play this fucking like weird hot cold game.
Hot cold.
Yeah, hot cold game. The second time later on, you actually have to travel through these like goblin encampments and kill these goblins. Without any of your power-ups.
Until I realized that. What do you have to hit him with? You have to hit him with some. Oh, you have to throw a fairy at him, which I absolutely never in a million years ever used at any point in the game. And then I was like, oh, I have to distract this asshole with a fairy right now, don't I?
The thing of it is too, the second time, the first time you don't have to do that either.
Yeah.
Is the thing. So not only do they not set it up for you when it's easier, they do it. They make it different for the second time. So it's very like it doesn't teach you. Mm-hmm. It doesn't tutorialize you when it needs to. Yeah,
it just over tutorializes everything else.
But then it just like random, like the second time, it was just like, oh, these chupacabras love fairies and they get easily distracted.
Yeah, and it's like,
try throwing a fairy at it. And I'm like, huh.
Yeah. Again, bad DMing. Thank you for notifying me that suddenly this magic MacGuffin is the only way to proceed. And I will say this, though, to the game's credit, we smashed through one of the coolest entryways in the entire game to finish this part. There are a lot of really beautiful, ornate doors in this game. So kudos to the door team over at Mercury Steam. You guys are doing the Lord's
Blew
work.
it out of the water.
But
you're doing the Lord Mask's work.
Yeah, you're doing the God Mask, the Lord Doors work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the beginning of part 2, which is called The Crow Witch, this game really wants to tell a love story, you guys. But I feel like it's done absolutely nothing to earn that, and I don't know why it keeps even giving a shit about that at this point. Because like you've got Patrick Stewart narrating these hyper gushy love things and talking about how the Crow Witch was also like somebody who like is forlorn because of like a lost love or something. And so it keeps wanting to paint these pictures of like love spoiling, and it being so dramatic and traumatizing. But like we have to fall in love with these characters too. You know what I mean? Like they're doing nothing to make us love Gabriel or his wife or this crow woman or anyone for that matter. And so it's like you having Patrick Stewart dramatically read narrations between levels is not going to make me think anything's cooler. You know what I mean? I don't know, but we do this big tower climbing section, which actually is pretty neat. It's pretty quiet. I don't think they have a ton of music right here. I think it's just sort of like they let the ambient sound and you climbing kind of take center stage, which is cool.
And you have to fight a magic towel that has a sword.
Don't forget about the sword masters. Yeah, do these guys only show up here? I feel like I've not encountered them ever again.
Yeah,
no, I haven't encountered them since.
Yeah, so we fight these. They look like it's almost like the broom from Fantasia if it was a sentient bath towel with a sword.
You know who else they are?
Oh no, are they ring wraiths?
They're ring wraiths from Lord of the Rings.
God damn it!
Man, it's like Mercury and Steve watched those Lord of the Rings movies one weekend, and they were like, "Let's make this game.
Let's do that."
Oh my
Good
God.
call, Isaac. Damn, did not even notice that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Brandon Lee and his pack of crows blast through the door. And then there's a Brotherhood arc that we can't reach that it hits us with a million notes. It's like, you can't come here any yet. And I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we finally get to the top after a whole bunch of cool grappling. The cool grappling, it oscillates between really cool grappling because you're swinging with your crucifix through all this cool shit to being really...
Very dynamic.
Yeah, to being very frustrating because I explored part of this tower for the better part of 10 minutes before I realized that there was a tiny little glowing blue orb in the top left corner of the screen that I had missed.
I hate that. Yeah.
Did you guys encounter that a lot? Because I feel like I did.
Quite a bit.
Oh,
And I feel like I think it was the camera's fault because, you know, it would be like way in the corner of a camera angle, and only if you hit like a certain spot. Otherwise, it would be covered up.
Yeah, or it wouldn't sparkle or whatever.
Or it wouldn't. Yeah, it wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And why are you going to
trigger,
make it
so-
blue when everything else is like white, blue, or like gray? Like, why not make it like green or red or yellow or something? I don't know. And then we fight this crow witch, which is, it's not really a crow witch. It's just kind of it's like a giant crow. It's literally just a crow.
And it's a cool battle.
It is.
Well, and then them talking about her like love story and stuff. Like, I get that she transformed into a crow and was like permanently trapped that way. They kind of made it seem as if she was going to be like a humanoid woman who transforms into a crow. But we get up here and it's literally just a crow.
Nope. Yeah.
It would have been funny if it was just like a normal sized crow. But yeah, she throws poop eggs and sends crow children after you, and that's like literally
Which the
the
crow
whole boss
children
fight.
are like they're really gross looking, but I think they're pretty cool.
Oh, I think it's
Yeah.
like some actually pretty inspired character design because they're like half developed, like missing feathers, kind of like broken crow children. They look really gross.
Yeah, they're really cool looking. So like to match with how cool the boss looks. But the mechanic where you have to grapple onto the rock from the Titan battle earlier, it comes back here. You have to grapple onto the eggs that she throws at you and send them back at her. If you're very quick, you can get 2 in, but you can get at least 1 to get her down to half health. You grapple onto her at half health, and then you fly up into the air, crash down into the ground, and then you can wail on her. And then you do it again, and then you rip her fucking head off.
You mean you rip her skull mask off, and then her
Her skull
her
mask
black void face, just like screams. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a cool fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was her little spawn babies were kind of hard to kill, and they were kind of annoying for me at least.
I wish, man, more than anything, I wish I could use the experience points not to buy moves, but just to power up the fucking attack power on my base attacks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I would kill for that. And it seems like it's
Yeah,
pretty
there's a lot
bog
of enemies-
standard. Like, every character action game allows you to beef up your attack power.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of times in this game where there are enemy types that aren't necessarily like hard to deal with, or they don't necessarily hit very hard. They just are damage sponges.
Yeah, you'll sit there
And
for
it's-
like minutes, just like pounding these guys, and it's like, okay, I'm kind of sick of pressing X and Y now. Can I stop? So, which is extremely frustrating, given that like the ghouls and some of the other characters, you can literally grab and kill them in one hit.
Mm-hmm. Which like they take forever to kill if you just hit them, but like a grab attack will kill them instantly, which is super helpful to know.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna have to fight a lot of them pretty soon.
Yeah. So here at the end of chapter 4, I had completely forgotten about this horse. And so I wrote in my notes, is this the Outriders horse from Venture Brothers? Why is he here?
He just randomly appears. It's kind of
Yeah, Gabriel doesn't even say anything.
out
He's
there.
just like, sup. Or he didn't do that.
Yeah,
He
the
just
tower
hops on
starts-
it.
yeah.
Yeah, the tower starts crumbling, and then you run away with the horse, and the chapter ends.
Yay. Chapter 5. Veros Woods. Yeah, the narrator, I guess, just tells us that the horse got sent to us by Pan, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. And then, as we had already mentioned, we're entering the Vampire Kingdom. It is a little frustrating, like to some extent as well, for several levels, especially in this zone, we're going to be pretty much just encountering like straight up vampires, and that's it. So like my previous note of like, I wish there was more monster variety. Well, they're sort of like, well, here's a new monster, but this is literally the only new monster for a while. And it's like, okay, great. It's the only monster. I appreciate that, you guys. I think Castle Canehurst from Bloodborne called, and they want their fucking map back. Because that's literally all this chapter is. And so we've got this beautiful, how would you describe it, Sam? It's like a beautiful snow-topped covered castle in this very gothic, dark European world. I really wish that they would have just made the whole fucking game in this environment. Like, it looks really cool.
It's very cool. It's very like cinematic, and it's a very cool area. I really like it a lot.
And in case you're thinking that this is where Castlevania becomes Castlevania, because previously it was Swampvania, it was Ancient Cityvania, it was Mayan Templevania. Well, no, actually, it's about to become Abbeyvania, and then we'll eventually it'll be Sewervania, and then we'll be in Castlevania finally.
Yeah, but first we're doing Hedgemagevania.
Oh yeah, you can.
Hedgemagevania.
Yeah, don't forget. So we are. What the fuck are we doing?
I don't know.
Where are we?
Village.
Oh, so talking about Castle Canehurst, blah blah blah. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, you gotta keep that whole thing in there. That's normally something we'd edit. But you gotta keep that.
Yeah, because we need extra length on this episode.
Well, yeah, your brain just broke. Though. I need to keep that up. That's normally me.
Oh, so heads up, I will say this. I do believe, truly, in my heart of hearts, I'm very glad that the game does this one thing with its battle mechanics, which is that enemies have poise. Being able to stagger enemies is a godsend. Like, if you hit them hard enough with some of these combos, they will stop what they are doing, usually. And oh my god, is that great. Because can you imagine... I feel like there's a weird world where this game is made a little less detailed, and like these guys are just like weapon sponges that never flinch, and that seems like a nightmare scenario. So, anywho's, that was my hot 5 on poise stats, because we were talking about Bloodborne and souls. We already talked about this. Chupacabras comes and steals our shit again. This is the dumb fairy thing. Yeah. Super sick looking castle, and that's pretty much it. Because then we enter the village.
Yeah, and this village is like spooky and empty, except for there's like they see these villagers in the windows see Gabe, and they close their windows, and this very classic darkness has entered this town.
I wish that they were speaking Spanish,
And-
like they're like the Resident Evil 4 people.
It's dark. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so you enter this village and you're walking around, and then you see Zootopia kneeling by a pile of fucking bodies. And
Hold on, I was drinking water and you fucking just about choked me on air. Zootopia?
This is where I started getting real fancy with the names, because he's around a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So,
and sorry that we
yeah,
keep
so my
forgetting his name, but it's some bullshit like Zolbeck or something. It's real dumb.
It's Zubas.
It's Zool.
It's Zoloft.
Yeah, it's Zubas. Zol.
Oh, it's Zumba.
Oh man, it's Microsoft Zoom. But yeah, so you come across Zoolander here, kneeling by some bodies and praying, he tells Gabe that word of their quest has spread, and
Sure.
the vampires already know they're coming and slaughtered most of the village in retaliation.
I'm not sure why. I don't know how that helps or
yeah.
hurts.
Yeah. And then he tells him about a crazy abbot in this castle that has a relic that can harness the power of the sun.
Spoiler alert, the relic is holy water, which is a throwaway item in every Castlevania game.
Yeah.
And then you find it 1,000 times.
And then we have to go and persuade him to give it over. And then after this happens, this weird like zombie cannibal creature comes out of the hole, and you have to fight the
Don't forget though, Gabe gets extremely pissed that this this abbot did not help the town.
Yeah.
Like Gabe gets
not protecting us.
uncharacteristically angry.
Yeah, which is like the only emotion he's shown the entire game.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you actually have Zoe 101 here helping you in this fight.
He's actually
Which
pretty good.
help is-
He's like
Is he?
So there was a part later on where I got trapped in another room, and when I came back, he had killed everything in the
Oh, dang.
previous room.
He did none of that for me.
So I don't know if I
there
just
was a
left
point
him for a
where-
very long time, and he just kind of did his thing or what. But
Well, I did a social experiment later on, where I had an enemy that was near him that was had a sliver of health left, and I just didn't do anything for 30 seconds, and it was still alive.
oh wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe we have two different Zoliciouses, but I
Yeah,
don't know.
my Zaboomafoo fucking went ham, dude. Can I talk about this graveyard section real quick? So what ends up happening is these ghouls come out of this hole, and we kind of talked about this already. Pro tip, you can grab them and they die in one hit. You should do that. It takes them a century to die if you do it otherwise, and they will eat each other's corpses and become poisonous. And so when you get hit, you have to immediately turn on your light magic and try to counteract the poison with doing damage. It's kind of like wow, it's almost like Bloodborne. It's kind of like a Bloodborne mechanic. However, there's this one section where in order to cover these holes to keep the ghouls from coming in, you have to interact with these statues. So you have to I thought with my logic, hold the right trigger as we've been doing to interact with the statue, and then it prompts you. It says press Y to call Zoe Deschanel,
I love her.
and so he shows up. He gets behind the statue. Gabe says, "I'm gonna need help pushing this," and so dude puts his sword away. He goes to push the statue, and if you're still holding the right trigger, he will stop pushing the statue and go. And oh my fucking god, you guys! I thought that my game was broken. I did this so many times. I fought so many ghouls. I restarted the game. I restarted my computer.
Jeez.
I was considering deleting my save and finding a new save because I thought I permanently fucked my game up.
Busted your game. Yeah, I thought I had the exact same.
I was
thing happen to me.
terrified.
I didn't go through.
I
all
had a
that,
heart attack.
but-
I was just and I came back to life. And what ended up happening is you're just supposed to touch the right trigger once and just don't hold it. I don't know why that does anything.
and this motherfucker, he says, I need your help. He's not helping. He is very clearly not putting any strength or energy into this task.
Yes, correct. So I don't know. Anyway, so you do this 3 times. You block all this stuff up. You get a new combat crucifix, and I think it's the stake, which makes it to where you can quote unquote kill vampires, but you never use it except for to open doors. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, which like
makes you do this long ass QTE anytime you use it as well.
Yeah.
Minimum of 4 button presses.
So 4, and then there are certain doors in the next chapter that require 6 or more, which is awesome. But it's a stake. It's a vampire stake, and you don't use it for anything but opening fucking doors.
Yeah, it adds like 2 inches to the length of your, which is super dumb.
It doesn't make your strength against vampires like higher or anything. It just is for doors.
Yep. That's great. Doors. Part 3, Abbey Catacombs. Vincent Doran is the name of the abbot. We encounter these vampire warriors here for the first time. They 100% look like Mobius from the Spider-Man animated TV series.
Yeah, Michael Morbius, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Vincent Doran sounds like somebody I work with.
Maybe.
Like, I could look him up and, like, we have this, like, big employee master list. I'm sure I could probably find Vincent Doran in there tomorrow when I go to work.
I can see it. So Zathora comes in with you. And I thought I got trapped. Did you guys encounter that situation here?
Trapped?
Because what ends up happening is you... So Zumba holds the door open for you. You go inside. He drops the door.
Oh, yeah.
And then I did not know what the fuck to do for the life of me in here until I just started experimenting with my punch ability. And I was able to punch a pillar through the door.
Yeah. I thought you were supposed to knock the pillar at the time. Yeah. He would have to like lift the door, the gate open, and you would push the pillar underneath it.
That is exactly what I thought.
What is he doing?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep.
Same.
And this is where I was trapped for a long time trying to figure out what was up, and then after I broke through the door, all the vampires were dead. So, also, I just want to throw this out there, you guys. So, right after this, we encounter this trap where you have to be slab brothers with your co-op partner and hold up the ceiling for each other in this huge tunnel. There's no way that a single fucking old abbot man made all of these traps.
It was by the hand of God. He helped him.
Oh. Okay.
Amen.
That's fair. Amen, brother.
Not if I praise God for a minute.
But yeah, so yeah, just in general, we pretty much do this thing. We eventually get to this little courtyard area, I believe, with this like sundial rotary wheel.
Yeah.
Which, like, 1,000,000% I knew that I had to interact with that thing, but until you smash open a wall that is hidden off camera to get the crank to stick into the sundial, it will not let you proceed.
Yeah.
And then when you finally do it, essentially you shift this pentagram on the floor, which, like, heads up, this abbot's into some fucked up shit, or this abbot's into some fucked up shit. If we're encountering dark magics everywhere, including pentagrams, like, has anybody ever considered that maybe he's been corrupted? Of which he hasn't, though, because when we find him, he's, like, still praying to God, which is weird.
Very vigorously.
Very vigorously. But anyway, so you move this pentagram thing around, so ultimately this portal that's blocking the way that you're supposed to go spits you out in the right spot.
There's goodies like on the other 2 spots, but the ultimate goal is to push it around like 3 cranks, have Zozo hold it, and then you run through the portal and it unlocks the gate, and then you can go. And this entire time, like, ghouls will be spawning, so you have to like do it quick, otherwise he'll get attacked, and then you have to go back and fix it.
Yeah. And that leads us into the Abbey Library, Part 4, where Zesto says that he's sure that there's a way to enter the library from here, which looks like a library. We're in a library trying to figure out how to get into the library. I was kind of confused. And the situation ends up happening where our good friend gets trapped in this little alcove because he touches a
He
book.
literally just touches a table, and the door's like, nope.
Yep. And so this is where we encounter the animated armors for the first time, and there's two of them.
Which legitimately is great enemy type.
Yeah, great enemy
Love
type,
it.
great little area, because as you're fighting them, you're like knocking books around and smashing tables.
Yeah.
It's pretty neat.
More like this, please. Thank you.
Yeah, and then eventually what ends up happening is like, I'm starting to run out of names here.
Zaxby's.
Yeah, so Zaxby's discovers that the table that he bumped into, he decides to break it open, and there's just a giant lever inside, and he pulls it, and then it opens a trapdoor on the roof, to which Gabe says, like, oh, great, and then jumps in, and then we're kind of in this, like, puzzle.
Mind you, he's surrounded, in the cutscene, he's surrounded by 4 animated armors, and then he zips away just in the nick of time.
Correct, because he's a hero. And then we end up in this massive library where we do more mirror puzzles. I actually kind of enjoyed this part of the game. It was pretty good.
Yeah, it was a pretty fun section.
Cool aesthetic, cool. The puzzles were pretty fun. These puzzles, they didn't hand it to you on a platter, and they also didn't make it super, super tough. So it felt pretty... The balancing felt right here. Like, it felt like everything finally clicked. But yeah, eventually, after we do this little light puzzle, we fight these little devil cherubs again that we last saw in the dark dungeon with Claudia. We entered this other part, which is part 5, the Abbey Tower.
Yeah, you climb to the top of the tower, and you smash through another signature kick through a window.
Oh, yeah.
And then Catherine Zobek-Jones is just magically there. And
That was great.
They do a they do a quick bro shake.
Oh yeah.
And then that's when they come across the abbot doing some real vigorous praying.
And then they look at each other and they're like, we're totally gonna punk this guy.
Yeah, Gabe scolds him for not saving his
just
people.
grab
and they
it from
steal the
him.
holy water, and then
We're gonna take.
yeah,
this.
they just take it, and then the abbot.
Well, it feels like a real missed
okay,
opportunity
bye.
for like a cool story, because like the whole time that I was hearing this, I was like, man, this is like some cool Diablo shit. Like, wouldn't it be cool if you found the abbot and he had like a group of like weird, like possessed disciples with him, and they're like eating people from the village, and it's just like some weird fucked up stuff where like to them they're still praying to their god and following the teachings, but it's like twisted and corrupted. No, let's just write a crazy person, and then we're gonna leave him to die to some vampires. It felt very like,
Because that's literally what happens too.
I was like, come
as
on.
soon as they walk away, the vampires show up.
it's very akin to how Kristen feels right now about me, which is I accidentally shattered my wedding ring.
Oh, no.
I don't know how you do that with I don't know how
Was
you
it
do
titanium?
that with no, not titanium. What's the other one? Something carbide, tungsten carbide. It's a fucking tungsten carbide ring, and I smashed it. Like, I guess like I nicked a chip in it like several months ago.
You smash that like button too hard.
Yeah, exactly. So I was kind of dancing my ass off at this Halloween thing on Saturday, and I kept tapping the cement wall with my hand, and I looked down and my ring was just split in half. So now Kristen feels like I'm that abbot, because she's like, are you going to be okay? And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, now ladies are going to know that they're going to think that you're single. And I was like, Kristen, do you think that there is like a horde of women that like as soon as it happened, they raised their faces to the air and they went, he's free.
Alessio is free.
Yeah, the ringlet of protection has fallen. So yeah, I guess this is what Kristen is picturing happening. I just get surrounded by a bunch of women, and then there's a blood pool that forms.
Yeah.
But yes, correct. So the abbot dies, and yeah, it's fucked up what the abbot did, but it's also kind of fucked up what they did. I don't know. I feel like they could have just taken the abbot with them, but that's fine. Yeah. I don't know.
You get down to the village after this. You're walking with your your best friend, Ali Z. And
Ali Z and the place to be. But so this is part. Are we in
Booyakasha!
part 6 now?
I think so. I don't fucking know.
Yeah, so we're in part 6 of Browner.
Browner. But this like unconvincingly dying child, who doesn't sound like a child, tells Gabe.
It's like a 6-year-old boy shows up and he's like, "Hey, you guys better go back to the village.
Yeah,
He's looking for you."
Yeah, you need to go alone, otherwise they will kill them all.
Oh, and then fucking our
Elliot,
boy just goes, "It's a trap," and Gabe's like, "I know,"
and he goes anyway. And then this is when Broner begins. The next level begins because you go back and the level's on fire,
That's right.
and then you go in. You have to fight a bunch of vampires, and then after you kill like a dozen of them or something,
We get a cool
that,
cameo.
cutscene plays and they all. Oh yeah. A cutscene plays and all of the little vampires run away, and then mouth breather Goliath from Gargoyles shows up, and you fight him. and Q the second time I was just like, why am I not keeping this weapon? He has this really cool like katana rang thing that like weapon that he has.
You gotta be careful with that Q word, because as soon as you started saying it, I got real cagey and started hovering over the marker button on my keyboard. I was like, "What am I queuing? What am I queuing?"
Oh, I'm sorry. No, so this is the second time where I was just like, man, that would be cool to have this dope ass hammer. Man, that'd be cool to have this dope ass like sword thing that turns into a boomerang
It's
katana.
very Xena Warrior Princess looking shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is a kind of cool fight. Did you guys enjoy this fight? It feels like the Dark Gauntlet fight.
It was one of those things like, well, it was just like, at this point I'm kind of realizing where the boss battles at this stage are actually cool. The problem that I'm noticing is that they're all the same.
Yeah, all the boss battles are the same boss battle. You either have a Titan fight or you get a one-on-one big burly boy fight.
Mm-hmm.
The cool part is you rip this motherfucker's wings off.
Yeah, metal as
Super
fuck.
metal. I'm a little upset that he didn't think to rip anybody else's wings off, but prior to this point. I wish Kratos was in this game, you guys. I just need like ruthless ass
Boy!
Kratos in this game.
Angry Kratos, not rad dad.
No,
Kratos,
I need
angry
like the
Kratos.
brutal death animation Kratos, because Gabe's too soft, man.
Yeah, he's a soft
I
one.
wish that based on where I think this story is going, I wish that he got more brutal as the game continued. But that would be asking too much, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, so you killed Brenner, and
yeah, dude, it's
then
real
after
graphic
that,
too. You
Gabe-
lop his arm off.
Oh yeah, and Gabe has a heart-to-heart with the 4 people that are still left alive in this village.
And they're real chill, which is like, I would be kind of scared. Like, they're like, "Oh man, you're our hero." I'd be kind of like, "You're sick and fucked up and killed literally hundreds of things. That's cool you did it for me, but you're a monster and you should leave."
Mm-hmm. And then a villager takes, and this chapter should have ended here.
I agree.
But a villager takes Gabe to a secret cave, and where the fuck, and I'm gonna use his actual name because it's that's how crazy it is. Where the fuck did Zobek go?
Oh, I think he
he's
says it
just
in the
gone.
level narration. He's like, "I had to go take care of a personal errand,"
Like,
which felt like a throwaway line that somebody at Mercury Steam was like, "We got to squeeze this in so we can remove this guy from the rest of the game." He's on a personal errand.
yeah. So you do the sewers. It's shit.
It's
You have to
literal
fight a bunch
shit.
of skeletons. It's
This
shit.
might be one of my least favorite levels in a game. It's
not
It's a real
good.
tiny level. Everywhere you go, you move at the speed of a snail, because you're covered in shit. You have to turn off these like screaming bile cannons to like sprint by, and it's got one of my favorite things in a video game, which is a timed lever. You pull the lever and you hear the little and then you gotta
Book it.
finish it before the timer runs out.
Yep.
It's very frustrating.
Yep.
Sam, tell us about these skeletons.
So the cutscene where
Oh, I forgot about this
I was talking to
paranormal
Ale-
activity ass cutscene.
I felt like I was watching an episode of Scooby-Doo. I was talking to Alessio about this last night when I was playing it. You go into this area, and you have to open up a door with your vampire stake cross, and it transitions into a cutscene where you see the skeleton reanimate behind
And the
you.
camera's like attached to the wheel
The
that
lever.
Gabe is turning.
Yeah.
So it's like the camera's like
So-
whipping left and then resetting to the right and then whipping left.
Yeah. So it whips left, and then every time it whips back right, the skeleton is slightly closer.
It's like those cat
And
videos on
closer.
Instagram.
Yeah, where like it like ducks from the hallway and then it peeks back and the cat's like just a little bit closer. It was that. And it's like right behind Gabe and he realizes that it's there and he turns around, he's like, oh fuck. It was just like, it was so funny. It was so fucking stupid.
That's real bad.
But yeah, apparently this was I didn't fight this because Alessio warned me that it was shitty, so I just summoned a titty demon and didn't deal with it.
Good for you. I had wasted mine on Broner. And I had to fight these guys, and it sucks. They're not good. It's like the werewolf, except if the werewolf came back to life. Times
So
3.
you want me to tell you guys something?
Yeah.
Are you gonna tell me about punching the bones
Well,
and
no,
it makes them go away?
I was gonna. This is on me, a shortcoming that I didn't realize.
Oh.
I never used those. The summer
Tata girls.
Yes, the tatas.
You didn't release the tatas?
Say the real name, titty demon.
That's what it says in the book. That's what Gabe. That's what Gabe wrote
that's what
down.
it says in the book. Right there, titty demon.
Gabe goes, I wonder if I can climax in the time at which she's present. It's just so quick, though. Yeah, his notes get very sadistic.
So yeah,
Oh my god.
Yeah, needless to say, by the way, the one thing that we didn't mention about this creepy demon real fast is that not only is she a demon, but when the camera reveals her whole form, she is very clearly just on the head portion of a larger demon, of which we don't see its face. It's kind of weird. Like, she makes up the head of a larger body. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's super weird. But yeah,
Hold on, Isaac had something to say. I'm sorry, Isaac.
I mean that was it. I just
okay.
I had to fight all these bosses, without the help of this.
Look at MLG Isaac over here.
So the thing about the crystal is that the demon, I didn't think the bosses really helped that much. It didn't really do it. Well, I don't think it takes enough damage away for it to be worth it. Like I think that with the bosses, I think the bosses are a little bit easier than normal encounters sometimes, just because they're a little bit more structured. So I think it's better to save it for like hordes, like the big, like you have to fight 3 skeletons or 3 werewolves. So fucking do it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I don't know. I felt like it took a little bit of damage. I mean, not a lot, but I feel like it took like a good third of their health bar down.
I found out later they can just turn into tornadoes. Which is
the skeletons? Okay.
Yeah.
That part sucks because then it's like really hard to dodge. Like they're just like hunting you down the whole time.
But really, though.
So anyway, these boys suck.
Was only the only benefit was for Gabe to look at.
Yep.
Yeah, he just needs some.
He's like, oh, my dead wife. I'm so sexually frustrated.
I need purple demon nipples.
Yep. But then you eventually.
Let's turn this into Silent Hill 2 somehow.
Then you eventually climb through most of this bile again to get to the worst puzzle.
I hated this one.
Spike puzzle, but it's not any spike puzzle. You punch the button. And you have to sprint across the spikes before they come back up. And this is where I died a couple times because the fucking sprint button is tied to double tapping the left stick.
And one sprint can't get you. One sprint can barely get you over the spikes, but if you start it too early, you have to do it again in the middle of the spikes. Also, the shitty part is you see a gate in the distance falling, so you think, oh, I got to race to get to the other end. No matter what you do, when you get to the close to the door, it will close.
Yeah.
Every single time. And I'm just like, what are you testing me on? And prior to this point, every time that there is a magic-based puzzle, they put a magic fountain near you. This one did not do that. So the only way that I knew to use a dagger and try it was because the camera showed me the button from the door where I was at. So I went, oh, shit, let me throw my dagger. And again, to myself, I thought, every other time that this game... I'm not saying that this is good design. I'm just saying every other time that this game has had an item-based puzzle, they leave you like an unlimited amount of that item to use. This did not do that, so I did not think oh, it's an item puzzle. Anyway, so I threw the knife. The knife opens the door ever so slightly, but not enough. And I'm like, well, fuck, what do I do? Then I tap the shadow magic and like throw the knife with like the fire element behind it or whatever.
And that's
what does it. How the fuck was I supposed to know that?
Again, it's this game not telling you things that it needs to tell you. There's no fucking way for you to know that. And it's just because they don't really teach you that like the knives explode like much at all, if at all. I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah, I don't think, like, they mention it offhandedly. They're like, oh, your items might be powered up with your magic now.
Right, very much so. So it's like a fucking, man, I don't know. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, and hopefully we don't sound like we're just ambiently complaining to complain. I'm sure to some it might sound like we're like, this game holds our hands too much, and then we're like, this game doesn't hold my hand enough. It's hard to describe.
That's the thing that's like so weird about it, because it's not like it holds your hand too much on the thing. Like I said earlier, it holds your hands on things that it doesn't need to, and it doesn't, like, not even like I don't need it to hold my hand. It just doesn't explain shit.
Yeah, I agree. So then we enter chapter 6, because this is the weird non sequitur way that we end this chapter, is climbing up a shithole tower from a sewer. So we begin chapter 6, part 1, Castle Courtyard. Given how little Gabe sleeps, I don't understand how he's functioning right now. I will say, however, sign me the fuck up for all of the snowy castles in this game. This should have just made this the main motif. I would have been okay with that.
Yeah.
Everything that we're describing right now, I just need you guys to know is like far longer winded than we're describing it. So I just need you to know, again, at this point, we had been playing for 10 hours.
I don't mean to, and I also I had a conversation with Isaac about this. I don't mean to like it's just, this game is so full of padding and filler as to be sickening.
Definitely.
It's a lot. Like, literally thinking about playing the rest of this game is kind of seeming like an not great proposition.
Right.
We're going to do it, and that episode will actually be shorter than this episode because we won't have like a whole primer on Castlevania or a ton of generalities to talk about, but it's like another 10 hours of this.
Yeah.
So, anywho's it. We fight another animated...
Can we just you go through a courtyard, you fight a thing, you fight
drop
an
down a
animated
hole.
thing, drop down a hole, and I really just want to skip over this.
That's fine. Yeah.
There's like so much.
Yeah,
it's
there's
just
like nothing.
We drop down a hole.
Yeah, we dropped down a hole. There's kind of
and
like
then
this multi-level dungeon room that I thought was actually kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, you drop down a hole, then you have to fight a bunch of skeletons and a warg that you use to climb up a wall, and then you essentially
fight more skeletons in a hallway, and that's pretty much the whole chapter.
That's
the whole
that's
part.
it. And it's a cool area. Like, it is a cool area, and it's interesting, but it's just like, that's literally
it's just like another, hey, check out this castle, now we're fighting. It's like, okay.
And then you go up into the fucking maze where the camera decides it wants to change positions every 5 seconds.
The Mandragoras are pretty tough. These little tiny elf.
They go down
people.
really fast, but they can like teleport underground, and they like siphon health off of you, and it's stupid. And there's spiders in this maze that you have to use to solve puzzles.
You have to punch a pillar that I did not find for a very long time, and I texted Sam and I said, I think I'm at my breaking point. Because most of these pillars have little tracks on the bottom so that you know that you can punch them. This one did not, so I literally was trapped in this hedge maze for a very long time.
It did, but it was
that's
very
what I
well
meant.
hidden.
It was like obscured. Sorry about that.
Yeah. And then the pillar, like, it's like hiding behind a camera angle, like a really weird camera angle, and it's very stupid. You have to punch it to the wall to jump over the hedge maze to the other side, and then you have to use a spider to build some bridges and break down some doors so you can find some goodies.
You get a puzzle
and then you can
that's the same as that guillotine puzzle, except it's like
Pretty
maidens
much.
holding blue torches.
I did not like this one. Well,
yeah, because like you don't know that they're in the right place until they're in the right place, and it's like, well, I don't know.
You know
what
what was
I'm trying
dumb?
to do.
I don't know how it was for you guys, but I was like trying for. This was like probably 15 minutes before the podcast we were going to start recording. I was like, crap, what am I going to do?
Isaac's down to the wire.
So I was stuck on this puzzle for like close to 10 minutes, And then I really wanted to figure it out myself. And I was at the point where I was going to look it up when I just rotated the middle one twice, and that was it.
Yeah. I did that first on accident.
Isaac had a fucking John
just
Nash beautiful mind moment where he was just like, wait a minute. I can see the numbers.
Yeah, well, I was just like, I
Right.
was just going to fuck with it for a little bit. And I was just like, okay, I'll move this one. And then I realized that they turned. I was like, oh shit. So I did it
was
again.
it.
And then I was like,
No, that was not it for me at
Oh,
all.
okay.
I had to rotate all of them like 6 times or some shit. It was real
oh,
dumb.
God.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then cue the most minor of backtracks in the history of this entire game, just so that these guys can check off, hey, we had a backtracking element from Castlevania, ha ha ha. And then we enter a big door for the 300th time.
Yep. Enter a big door.
Castle Hall, Part 3.
And you're in this big old hallway. You have to.
Hold on.
When you
we
go
get
inside-
the shitty narration at the beginning of this level where it goes into excruciating detail about how high-powered vampires can dress up like elite humans. And I feel like they just did that to prime us for a cutscene where we're going to be seeing a bunch of human-looking vampires. Again, it feels like these narration loading screens were written well after the fact just to bridge some sloppy storytelling.
Yeah. Like they explain us, like, yeah, the uglier a vampire is, the newer the vampire. Just like that's something they actually establish. I'm just like, fucking okay.
Yeah. The one cool thing from this level is that you're battling vampires with daylight for a couple rooms.
Yes.
But it takes forever to get the windows open, like to an excruciating amount. It's like, dude, I figured it out. Why are you punishing me for just trying to do it? And then after you do it for 2 rooms where it's a lot of fun, they're just like, and now suddenly the sun has completely set. Good luck. Like, it's not even gradual.
and
It's
they
just
just-
like, boom, here you go, fuck off. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep. Because you do this, you block the holes with sun. It's kind of it's essentially like
Block the
like
holes
pillars
with
from
sun.
Yep. It's essentially like the pillar thing in the graveyard with the ghouls, except instead of a pillar, you're using the sun.
Yes, it's literally that.
Yeah, but you do that, and then you saw once all of the enemies are down that are out, and you essentially block the holes with sun. You do this puzzle, and then it instantly becomes nighttime, and then they all come out.
That part was actually kind of cool, where you have to battle them off until the door opens, and then you can just
Yeah.
leave. I was like, hell yeah!
Yeah.
And then begins
but
this
then-
mini game. Sam, why did you like this game, and what is it?
It's like vampire chess
With one row. It's like vampire
with one
chess with
row,
a roulette wheel for some reason in one row.
Well, it's kind of like it's like a cross between like chance, like luck, and like strategy a little bit. You have 2 of each type of monster, which is a vampire, a necromancer, and a werewolf. A werewolf, yeah.
Can I read
Each
you one
one-
quick little description from the book? It's called Vampire Wargame, and it says, "This is a board game similar to chess, but for 2 players."
What?
What
what
fucking
chess
what
is.
party chess were they playing over at Mercury Steam?
6-man chess. Fuck with me. They're playing Chinese checkers.
That's
And they're just like,
hilarious.
oh, that's not.
Hey,
that's not-
should we explain why we're playing this game?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, this little girl. Well, she's a very old vampire, but she acts
the
like a little girl. Her
centuries
name is
old baby
Laura.
child.
Yeah, her name is Laura because, of course, a bitch.
Oh
ass
my
little girl's name
god,
is Laura.
what is going on with all this Silent Hill shit?
I don't know. But she essentially says that Gabe is Gabe has this argument with her, and it's literally like James is arguing with Laura.
Yeah, it's
That's
her
what it
being
feels
like, "Nuh-uh," and him being like, "Yo."
Yeah. Just like, I don't have. It's just like this gothic Wednesday Addams looking chick, and she's like, she says, you should play this game with me, and Gabe's like, I'm in no mood. I need to find the Dark Lord, and then she's just like, Mother doesn't like visitors, but I'll show you if you play this game. He's like, no, I don't have time. And then she's just like, play, and he's like, fine.
And then I was like, no.
play-
And then it was like, fine.
Yeah.
I said, no, hey, skip. And it was like, go along your
well,
way.
like it immediately, like the puzzles in this game, if you find the scroll, let you skip it. This game doesn't even like make you find. It's just like, here's the rules. Also, you could just
No,
skip
so it's
it.
like, here's
And
the
I was just
rules. And if you press A by accident, You just skip
You
it
skip it.
automatically.
Yeah. But I wound up ending. So the goal of the game is like each of the 3 pieces has a special skill. The necromancers can attack, but they can also summon like weak zombie tokens to attack as well. The vampires can either attack or they can siphon life to heal themselves, and the werewolves can move extra spaces.
Like a knight.
Yeah. And in order to essentially, you spin the roulette wheel, and whatever it lands on is what you get to move.
God, chess would be fucking insufferable if that was how regular chess worked as well.
Oh God, yeah, it would be. But like, I liked it. I thought it was interesting.
I thought it was interesting. I think the enemies all have way too many hit points, and so it was like this shitty like let's corner a piece and then punch on it for like 2 minutes, and I was like, I'm ready.
I think if
I'm
it was
ready to
more
move.
structured in that way, it would have been better. But I was more engaged with this than I was with literally anything else in the game.
Yeah, at least it was original. I think I definitely give it brownie points. Like it worked. I mean, it was chess, but for 2 players, so I guess it wasn't.
but for 2 players. Yeah. But you essentially you play this game and you win, and she throws it, or you skip and you win. But she throws a tantrum.
No pressure.
And then lets you. Yeah. She throws a tantrum, but she keeps her promise and lets you go, and then you go into the kitchen.
Hell yeah! Let's talk about this because this is cool. Kind of.
Yeah.
So we entered this little kitchen area, and this very disgusting looking creature that looks like the butcher from Diablo 1 or 3 stammers.
His name is Evil Butcher.
Yeah, he stammers out with a bunch of dead body parts, puts them on a plate, rings a bell, a bunch of ghouls come out of a trap door, which is like, what the fuck is the logic here? Like, what's happening? And you come in, you can one-shot all the ghouls with your grab attack because they're annoying, and then you discover that you need to ring the bell after you put more body parts, which it leads to you making Gabe sift through human organs in a pile, which cracks me up, and then leaving them on a plate. Yeah. You ring the bell, the ghouls come out, you sneak past them, you climb into their little trap door, and then we make it into the kitchen where we essentially fight like an angry... He's not even an evil butcher, he's like an evil chef.
Yeah. I mean, he does a lot of butchering, but he's got like a pot of stuff on.
Yeah, this is the most character in a boss environment in the entire game, in my opinion.
Yeah. I love this guy.
Yeah, so this guy, like, he'll grab, like, alcohol off the table and drink it and spit fire at you. He'll grab knives and throw them at you.
He'll grab chicken to try and heal himself.
It's not chicken, baby. That's definitely, like, some human organs.
Yeah, it is, but it's shaped like a giant chicken drumstick,
point.
And it's like floor poultry, but for bosses. But yeah,
it's a real oops gauntlet Thanksgiving dinner in a barrel situation.
Mm-hmm. Oh God. He moves pretty slow, but it's essentially the structure. Aside from the little personality quirks, which I really liked, it's the same boss as all the other ones.
Yeah, except he gets really aggressive towards the back half and like will not stop swinging.
Yeah. When you get him on the ropes, he will run to the stove, drink what was in the pot, start glowing blue, and then he put the pot on his head, rendering him somehow invulnerable.
I was so confused that he kept tapping his helmet. I thought he was summoning creatures. How long did it take you guys to figure out what to do here?
Quite a few times.
I had to look it up.
I think
you got that.
It was glowing for me, so I was like, let me just...
Oh, shit.
For
it
real?
Didn't glow for me at all.
Well, it didn't me either. He was just glowing blue the whole time. I did it on accident because after such a long time, I was just like, fucking, I tried to do like a combo, and I jumped, and I just happened to do it.
Yeah, so you have to hit his pot. You have to jump and hit the pot, and then it just like pops right off, and you're fine. But yeah, it took me a very long time, and I was like, I just want to finish this for the show, please.
Well, yeah, no, it doesn't pop. It doesn't pop off. It spins around, so he's blinded, then you grapple the sword, and then you're doing like a tug of war, and Gabe's just like, and he lets it go.
He does quite literally do that exact thing.
Yeah, that's it. He smirked. Like, he actually smirked. He showed more emotion in that one smirk than literally the whole entire game. And lets it go. His sword, it splits the pot open and then impales him in the head. And he's not dead yet. He just looks very concerned and confused. And then Gabe takes the sword and fucking butchers him.
Yeah.
Apropos, yeah.
It's pretty great. Yeah, so after this, you'd think, oh, what a great way to end the level. We're done here now. No, you have to go into this giant labyrinth area with the key from the butcher, and then you enter this huge open area with these sort of touch points. It's like the most of the markers that you have to touch with the colored magics than there's ever been. There's no real understandable pattern. And you get swarmed with 4 skeletons and an animated armor simultaneously.
Which I ostensibly you do. I didn't know because I summoned the titty demon because my spirit has been crushed and I literally.
I didn't even. How did you get more? I think. Did I use one on
because
the? I think I
they
used
put
one on
the
boss
crystals
again.
in boxes. They're so.
I think I used one on the boss
so
again. I gotta
plentiful.
stop using them on the bosses.
Stop using them on the bosses. Use them on these mobs.
So this is
because
literally
they're
where I
more-
had to change the difficulty. Because I would get through most of it and then would just get like killed at the last second, and I was like, "Fuck this! I have to go to sleep, please." It's like 1 in the morning.
Yeah, no, you save the crystals for save titty demon for the mobs. The bosses, you don't need it.
The super shitty part about this is there are a couple secrets up top. Like I think there's like a life gem and something else.
Well, there's a scroll up on an altar up there that
for the puzzle
that kind of gives you some clues. for the puzzle,
And I think then there's like a
or the skip for the puzzle if you were so.
Did you get to the dark? Did you do the balance walking across the beams to get to the dark magic crystal up there?
Yes,
Here's the
yes, I
shitty
did.
part.
On accident because I ran forward too far and I was just like, oh, I can balance on this, and so I did.
Well, they don't give you any easy way to get down after that. So you literally have to like do this very long balance beam thing twice.
Yeah, balance all the way back, and then you can kind of like drop, but you can't. Yeah, there's no easy way back.
Like you guys couldn't get me like a rope to kick down or something. And if you try and jump down, you just die like instantly.
Yep.
And then you know what happens when that happens. You have to fight all the skeletons again.
Really?
That was the moment for me. Was whenever I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna jump off, and then it was like, fight all these things again, and I was like, no.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But yeah, so after you kill those things and solve the puzzle, which is blue, blue, red, blue, red.
Yep. I think
guess.
from right to left or left to right. I think from
left to right.
I just kind of brute forced my
solve
way
the
through it.
puzzle.
I was like, and great.
Well, I used some of the clues in the scroll and I kind of figured it out, but after a while I was just like, fuck it, and I just kind of guessed, and then I figured it out.
Yeah.
And then you go through the door, and then the chapter ends, and so does this fucking episode.
Yay.
Fuck off this game. Yeah.
Oh, man. So how are you guys feeling about this game currently?
Tired about it.
Yeah. I'm thinking, given how long this episode ran, that we will more than likely actually
Literally, this is like almost a 4-hour runtime. That's how crazy this is.
So I think we're going to do a 3-parter on Castlevania.
Yeah.
So we will actually be splitting this episode in half. Chances are you're listening to this as the second part. But we're doing our due diligence. We're putting it here. We are probably going to record a unique outro for the thing, or I might just double up and put this twice. I don't fucking know. We'll figure it out. But we'll just do a quick unique outro for part 1 at some point, and we'll have to split this guy in half because this is a lot.
Like I know like a contingent of people that listen to this show like our longer episodes. 4 hours.
Yeah,
though?
it's a little. I think the breaks stop at 3 IMO.
Yeah.
So
I think
2 hours.
3 is like I think we found our line and we know we're not going to go past anymore.
Yeah, if we can keep it, I'd like to keep everything below 2 hours moving forward, but
Yes.
3 hours tops. So yeah, smart move. Cool. In general, I feel very drained, and I feel like I'm not seeing. Here's the thing: even when God of War felt like original God of War felt like it had slow points in its pacing, I at least knew that there would be some cool shit on the other side. I don't feel that way with this game. I feel like I'm seeing nothing new. I'm not being shown anything exciting or surprising. I feel very bored, and like the game is bored of itself. And I'm trying not to be very, very negative on this episode without at least having some sort of reasoning, but like I'm just finding it very difficult that this game scored as highly as it did.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys think that's a testament for the fact that like maybe we aren't thinking about it in terms of like when it came out?
Well, no, because that's the thing is that 2010, like this game was contemporary with God of War
3
and with Demon's Souls and with God of War 3 and Demon's Souls and Uncharted and all these games. Like, there's not really an excuse for it, I don't think.
Yeah, it's even if you like character action beat 'em up games, like Devil May Cry 4, I think was contemporary with this, and like that game's way better than this.
Devil May Cry 4 is very good. Devil May Cry 4 might be my favorite Devil May Cry.
I can't meet you there, but it's a good game.
As far as mechanically,
yeah.
I think.
DMC3 is pretty great, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a lot. Isaac, I feel like Sam and I have been using this time to bemoan this game.
Yeah.
Could you let us know how you felt? Granted, you were playing a little under duress, but how did you feel?
Yeah,
about this?
I mean, it was okay. To me, it wasn't as bad as you guys let on. It is still pretty bad in terms of like content. And now that Sam mentioned about the bosses all being the same, I can kind of see that, and it's but yeah, I mean, there are some forgiving merits, I think, but then it takes like 2 steps back with.
Well, I can agree with that, because like I said, there are like moments like where
Right.
it spikes in quality, where it's just like, oh, hey, look at this good game that's underneath this, and then like after it's done, it's just like, oh, but then here I have to fight 3 werewolves, sure,
Yeah,
okay.
6 times, and then ride a cave troll into a spider into a warg into a cave troll.
A warg into a warthog.
It just makes you do everything so many fucking times.
Yeah. It's like, well, it's the thing we talked about too. It's just like there's so much filler. Like if they took out like most of the filler, like if this game was like a really like
If this game was like a
at the end
brisk
is gonna
7
win-
hours,
yeah,
I would have
for
loved
sure.
it.
Yeah.
And then I would have
Oh, yeah.
replayed the fuck out of it. I would definitely go back and collect
Oh
things.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But no, it's a 20-hour game that just has so much extra shit padded into it for no
Yeah,
reason.
I don't want to play a game that takes 7 hours to get started. Mm-hmm. That being
'cause that's
said,
the
I've
thing,
done
like,
that
I-
with certain games, but not this. I don't want to do that with this game.
That review that you sent me, Alessio, where
Where it made the neck-
WTF
the neck
section
comment?
talked about his neck. I looked at that, and the con section was like how the first several hours of the game. Like this is like I want to here's what I'm gonna say.
Predictions for the future.
I want to say that for some reason this game has taken 10 hours to ramp up, and that the back half is going to be better.
Yeah, based on the reveals that I know that happen towards the end from a narrative standpoint, I think there are some good ideas coming. I have no idea what that means from a gameplay perspective.
So I'm hoping, like, there's got to be a reason why this game got such good scores when it came out, because like it's not like it was like for its time revolutionary. Like there were games around it that were doing the stuff inside of it better.
Yeah.
So
Well, and certainly a professional reviewer did not go, "Oh man, I just had to grit my teeth through 10 hours, but holy shit, does it turn around in the end?" Like,
which is weird. So I don't know. Like I'm waiting to find. I'm waiting, and I as exhausted as I am with this first half of the game, I am still holding on to my hope that it does get better.
nice.
So
I'll be cautiously
I'm
optimistic
looking
going into the end as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward ultimately positively,
Yeah.
despite everything.
So far, I'm
about you,
leaning
Isaac?
around like a C+, maybe like a D+. As far as my enjoyment, I would like it to end on a C+ or a B-, but I'm nervous that I'm going to hover around this like C-,
Yeah.
D+.
I think I can get
for a
behind
little
that.
bit. For all things Metal Gear Mondays, consider MetalGearSolidPodcast.com your number one spot to find all the things. You can support us on Patreon, do all that jazz through there. You can also subscribe to us that way. But the other ways that you can help the show is by telling a friend or rating and reviewing us on iTunes. That would be splendid. You know where to find us on social media, and likewise bit.ly/MGM store for merchandise. You can find me at AC Summerfield on Twitter, acsummerfield.com. I'm making a movie, hateshortfilm.com. Consider contributing to our crowdfunding or telling your friends. Sam, where can they find you?
Find me on Twitter at Sanjul, SANJUUL. I tweet stuff on there. It's funny. It can be sad. It can be thought-provoking.
Or all three.
It's all good. It has been all three at once.
Awesome. Isaac.
You can find me on Twitter. Doesn't have a twit.
When is the last time
I was
that you
just going to
tweeted,
say
Isaac?
I don't tweet.
March 2nd, 2017.
Wow. Isaac, you should get Twitter on your phone and maybe consider tweeting like once a month or something. Because I don't know if there's incentive for people to actually follow
You're right.
you based on
You're right. Why
any
are
of
these
these.
78 followers following me?
Whoa!
Yes, he's got 78 followers, and he's not.
Isaac
tweeting
almost
anyone.
has more
Isaac is
followers than our fucking MGM.
Guys, get
Twitter
on that.
handle.
Let's load it up.
Yeah, we have
Really?
87. We have 87 Twitter followers. Isaac has 78. And I tweet so much
Hey,
more.
it's not
Come
a race.
on.
Isaac is a legend.
It's a marathon.
That's
So
insane.
just the thought of him, we'll follow him to the death.
Jesus. Wow. I don't know. I want to be buried in a box.
Oh my gosh.
There you go. It's just a box.
It's just a
I think we did that one already.
Wait, it's just a box.
Just a box.
It's just a box.
Have we done a grave chant
have
singing
not.
version? Because there you go, motherfucker.
Just a box.